Hi everybody, welcome to the third episode of the Bandits Show. I'm Ben Gallagher and this week I'm joined by Charlie Fairhurst and Jack Woods. And as you probably guessed with us discussing the NFC last week, it's time to discuss the AFC. Same format, same questions. We're going to start with who we think is going to be a surprise team. And let's start with our newest guest. Let's start with Jack.
Hello, right. In my opinion, unfortunately for me, being a Chargers fan, I think the surprise team in the AFC this year will be the Denver Broncos. I think in the draft, they drafted Jerry Jeudy, and they drafted in the first round. They picked KJ Hamler in the second. They already have Cortland Sutton, who was near enough what I would say a wide receiver number one going into the season. They lost McGovern, who was their centre, and they got Graham Glasgow in free agency, who was a really good guard. And they also, in free agency, traded with the Titans for Jarrell Casey, which he's been perennial Pro Bowler. He's been there for the last 4 seasons. I think he's getting paid a lot of money, and that's why they got him for only like a 7th round pick. Yeah. Which is madness considering his talent, but I think what he could bring to that defensive line is going to give. I know he's going to give Bully Tyrod Taylor some problems, and he'll definitely give Pat Mahomes and Derek Carr some problems. So yeah, I would think with the way Drew Lock played the last 5 games of the season last year, I think the Denver Broncos could be a team that could surprise a few people this year, definitely.
Yeah, we talked about him a lot on the first episode. I think I like everything that they've done in the off season. They've upgraded the defense. Melvin Gordon going there.
Yeah,
good addition. Especially if they can sort everything out. I mean, if Drew Lock shows up as a franchise QB, then they'll be set.
Well, that's it. I'm just betting on him doing that, really. And if he doesn't, then it doesn't matter how good Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton are, you're not going to get the ball in their hands. But I think with him, I thought Melvin Gordon was probably the worst bit of business they did, because they already had Philip Lindsay, who is good enough to be paying, I guess, $8.5 million a year to Gordon over for a 2-year deal, $8.5 million each year for someone who's going to get maybe 8 to 12 snaps a game, if carries a game, if that. Maybe not the best, but yeah, I still, if he can play like he did in 2018, then yeah, he's just another weapon to add on. Definitely.
I think there's a lot of people keep going over the Broncos, and they are becoming this team that everyone's expecting to do well. At this point, I like the Melvin Gordon move. I think he's more physical than Philip Lindsay, and if you can take the first 2 snaps and then that third down, you have the option to just run.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's what I mean. If he can get back to in 2019 when he played for us, he was getting stopped to the line every time he ran on first down or second line, and it was 3rd and long every time. And it's not really where we, especially when at the start of the season when he was out, Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson were showing out really well. So I mean, you just have to. It's a lot of gambling on the Broncos. Really, there's a lot of people were kind of guessing, hoping if you're a fan that you'd be quite optimistic, but there is a chance of it going down, and that's why I think the surprise will be that all those players, the gamble will pay off, and I think that they'll make the playoffs with a wild card spot. Definitely not winning the division, but I think they'll get it in there.
Yeah, I like the point. Charlie, who's your surprise?
I had exactly the same thing.
Sorry.
I did. And it all comes down to Drew Lock, I feel. Because if he can't perform at the level necessary, then it doesn't matter how many weapons you put around him. It's just going to fall to pieces.
Yeah, well,
But I also agree with you on the Melvin Gordon move. I think it was a good move because Philip Lindsay's got the speed, yeah. But I think Melvin Gordon is a more all-round running back. He can do the power runs.
Yeah,
he is boxed, but he is more willing to fight for that extra bit.
And he's got a chip on his shoulder as well this year because obviously we weren't willing to pay him any money. We've let him go, trusted on Austin Eckler and what have you. So he feels that he should be that number one back that we haven't seen him as such. So I can understand. I can see him doing well. Just going off his previous experience.
Yeah, I feel like he's got that fight in him to get to the number one. I feel like he's got a point to prove now after last season. Because I fully believe he knows how good he is. And he thinks, right, I've got to come in now and I've got to state my case.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to bring that extra element. But like we all said, it all comes down to Drew Lock, really.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon, me and Charlie spoke about it last season a lot, is that he chose the wrong team to hold out on.
Yeah.
Because the Chargers are so in-depth in every position. They've got you had like 3 running backs who could have easily gone in. You have good tight ends, good everything. You have at least 2 players at every position. And he chose to hold out.
We're also the absolute cheapest team in the world. We never pay anyone who holds out, historically. Like, people who have held out for the Chargers, Vincent Jackson, like LaDainian Tomlinson, towards the end of his career, we never paid him. Like, we don't care about what the fans want, like the sentimental factor. The Chargers are cheap and they will never pay people when just going off merit. They always look for the future, which is good for business, but it can backfire sometimes, which we'll maybe see this season.
Well, I went somewhere different. I went for the Browns because I talked about the Broncos a lot in the first week, so I'll go somewhere else. I think the Browns did a lot of upgrading, really. I think they upgraded on their O-line, which was a massive problem last year. New head coach, who's obviously done a lot of work with Minnesota, who have had sort of star wide receivers, and they've managed to work it. Because I think the whole problem with the Baker Mayfield and OBJ situation was that he was trying to force the Lukes to OBJ, because if you don't give him the ball, then he's going to complain. Then so you kind of have to throw it to him, and it just didn't seem natural. They weren't working together. I don't know. It just all went downhill last year, but I think they can bounce back, and they might just sneak in with that 7th wild card.
I don't agree. I don't think Baker's the one.
Yeah,
I don't think Baker's the one to come up to the table and take a seat. I don't think he's got the right mindset for it. I just don't.
I'm not sure. I think that head coach last year could have been a big difference. When Baker played his rookie season, it looked like he had a lot of potential. There were people jumping the gun and said, "Oh, he's this, he's that, he's top 10 and he's top 15," and it's just outrageous at that stage. But I think, this coronavirus pandemic will be a bit of a problem for him, I think, because he won't be able to have, we don't think he will be able to have a full kind of off-season with a new head coach, with all his new sort of O-line, which they've changed. He's got Austin Hooper in at tight end, which is having to try and build all these relationships, which I think could be a problem. But I think he's got what it takes to be a good quarterback in the league. Whether or not that'll be this season, I'm not sure. But they've given him every opportunity. They're trying to give him an offensive line. They're trying to give him some people to throw to. There's every opportunity. I just think the defense could be a bit of a problem. They lost Joe Schobert in middle linebacker, who was the player you always couldn't keep your eyes off when the Browns were playing. He's gone, and I feel like the middle of that defense could.
Yeah.
I think another reason for the Browns, So basically, fixing that whole line is give Nick Chubb more opportunities.
Yeah.
Because if he can get going, he is an absolutely fantastic player.
I think they'll play more two backs in more because Kareem Hunt's a really good running back who won't probably get, like, in the same as when we're talking about Melvin Gordon, he's probably not going to get double-digit carries in any game, I don't think, this season. I don't know. That's my opinion. I think you can't not put... If you've got a running back like Chubb, you've got to have him get the ball. And I don't think that they'll be willing, the head office or the coaches will be willing to say, here's 10 carries a game that we're not giving to Chubb. Which I find madness, because Kareem Hunt, when he was at KC, was so good. So they've got the weapons.
Yeah. I think they did lose a couple defensive players, but they still have quite a strong D-line. I know he's got some controversy around him, but they'll have Myles Garrett back.
Yeah, he's very good.
Denzel Ward, a good corner.
Mm-hmm.
They do have these pieces there and here and there, and if it can gel for a bit, because this Browns unit has more or less been together for, this will be the third year now.
Yeah.
And they have, even though they've changed head coach, they do have a slight advantage on the teams who are going to have new coaches, new quarterbacks, new defense, new offense, completely different systems, and aren't going to have proper training camps, and they're not going to have OTAs in the next few months, and they might not have like a full preseason.
Well, it goes back to like saying with the old pandemic that's going on, like all teams are signing all these new people, getting trades, but no one's going to have time to gel together and work on how they want to run it. So I think the first few weeks of the season are going to be a bit up in the air while people start putting.
Definitely. Yeah, you might see teams start making a run towards the end of November when it could be too late by that time, but it will be a very weird season, I think, this year.
I saw an interesting comparison, and it was so the last time there was a lockout in the NFL, which you can, in a sense, compare like this off season to having a lockout where no one's training, no one's doing anything. There was multiple, I think there was three or four 13-win teams in the season. And they were all teams that kept the head coach, kept the quarterback, kept the system. And then there was a lot of teams that floundered at the bottom. There was multiple like 3-win teams, and there was a 2-win team. And so this is sort of the season that we might get from it. The more experienced teams, so your Ravens and your Bills, who are bringing everyone back, they're going to probably run away with divisions in the league. But then your teams that are having new systems are going to sort of struggle at the bottom.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, massively. That is, you see that in history throughout the league, that teams take... there's probably only a few teams, you're talking the best of the best head coaches who are innovative and have just been able to change with what they've been given early doors, like the Rams head coach, like 49ers head coach, where they've been able to come in and make an instant difference. Very few coaches can just jump onto a team with completely new staff. Some of them aren't even their own staff for the first year. That's what you've got to understand, is that that working relationship isn't even there as well. So I can agree with that. Yeah, this is maybe the opportunity where they could start to really drum something up.
Yeah. Has anyone got an extra surprise team that they think might just jump in there?
I think the New England Patriots will be a surprise. I think that everyone thinks the New England Patriots are going to be absolutely rubbish this season because they've lost.
Ben has just given you the evilest glare. The second you said, Ben's face just went.
Because everyone thinks that the Patriots, who lost the 41-year-old declining Tom Brady and Carl Van Noy, and someone else they lost.
And the kicker, and they have no tight end, and they lost the best offensive lineman and another linebacker.
Yeah,
They've not replaced anyone.
No, I think just because they've lost, I think the kicker Gostkowski was horrendous towards. That's why they got rid of him. Yeah, okay, they'd have to look at their offensive line, but a lot of that defense is still there. And just because they've lost Tom Brady, I don't feel like they're going to start being like a 4-12 team. I don't think you'll ever see Belichick not have a team that's as good as that on paper. And it's not even a bad team on paper just because they've lost. I just can't see it. I just can't see them being the bottom 2, 3 teams. I think they'll still play well. And I think come December they'll still be fighting for the AFC East.
Don't get me wrong. I've not got them like falling off a cliff. I've not got them destroyed completely, because I think Belichick will fight for wins, but I don't see them making a playoff push.
Right. Yeah. Well, I see them in the hunt towards the end of November, and I see them battling with the Bills to take the top spot. Whether or not they'll get there, I'm not sure, but I think they'll be a lot better than people think this year.
All right. With that note, we'll move on to divisions, and we'll start looking at some. Let's go. Yeah, let's start with the North, because it's the only one that we've got no fans from. So we can kind of say what we want without anyone getting defensive. Go on, Charlie. We'll start with who you got winning the division.
I've got Ravens. I'll be honest, mate, I've not got anyone in this division switching places. I see the division coming out exactly the same as it did last time.
Jack, what have you got?
I am the same, actually. I think the Browns will stay third. I think the Cincinnati Bengals might compete in a few more games than they did last year, but I think they're still no better than a 5 or 6 team winning in the league at best. I think Pittsburgh's deal take them a long way, especially if Roethlisberger can stay healthy. But at this point, with what we know from the draft and free agency, you can't not, in my opinion, have the Ravens winning that division.
Yeah.
My thing with Steelers is as well, if Big Ben stays healthy, and they've just picked up Ebron in free agency as well, in trades. It's just another weapon
I've
for
got more or less the same division, other than I have the Steelers in third and the Browns in second.
Yeah.
Because they're my surprise team. But, yeah, you can't really argue with Ravens winning the division.
No, I think they're a solid team. They drafted what they needed to. There wasn't really any holes that needed plugging in the team.
And they still made themselves better. That's the big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing needed fixing. They've improved upon it. So
yeah.
How often do you get like what was it? Were you a 12-win team last year, or like that? How often do you get a 12-win team that actually gets better in the off season?
Not very often.
I think that defense is going to be the best in the league.
Yeah, you'd think so. They've got the free agency. They brought in Calais Campbell, and they brought in Derek Wolfe from the Broncos. So that made a pass rush that was what I thought pretty good last season. Turned it into what I should expect to be very good this season.
Yeah, they're just going to do bits this year, Ravens. You just can't deny it. They just are.
Mm-hmm.
They should go in as the number 1 seed again. And whether they start being silly like they did last time and resting players for like 4 weeks in a row, which I think will cost them inevitably. But
it always does. It always seems to. I don't understand that. That's always I understand the rest because you don't want them to get injured going into the playoffs, but I feel like you lose that rhythm.
I feel like if you have a bye week anyway, then why are you resting players? They're going to get that rest.
Yeah.
There's resting players and then there's costing yourself game.
So I'm not going to mention the Browns because we've just talked about them a bit, but we'll talk about the Steelers. We'll talk about them a bit because I had them as one of my regression teams in the first episode, and I still think they're sort of going to go that way. Whether they're going to be terrible, I don't think, but they'll be a team in the middle that might just miss out on playoffs.
Health is just massive for me in that team. If you have, sorry, his name escapes me, the guy who was fighting with Myles Garrett at quarterback.
Mason Rudolph, yeah.
Mason Rudolph, yeah. If you have him throwing the ball for more than 8 to 10 games this season because Big Ben's pulled his hamstring or he's hurt his shoulder or he's fallen over and bruised his leg, then there's not a chance that these lot are going to get anywhere close to the Ravens.
Yeah.
But with the state of that defence last season, Minkah Fitzpatrick in the last 5 games was like an absolute demon. And in terms of like fantasy production, they were like, right, everyone was giving New England all this love on how much points they'd scored on D, and by the end of the season, the Steelers D had scored out almost as many points as them. And I think that goes a bit unnoticed that for the last 2 or 3 years, that defense has been very good and kept them in a lot of games. They did batter those last season, and that was with Rudolph throwing the ball. So I think they'll still be there based off that. But yeah, it's health for Roethlisberger. You'd have to see.
Yeah, it's hard to not like that defense. Not Minkah Fitzpatrick's biggest fan for leaving us, but
I was going to say.
I do still like him as a player, I suppose.
I get quiet when we mention Calais Campbell going to the Ravens, so you can hold your tongue on this one as well. All right, Bob.
I was going to wear the jersey as well today, and my jersey arrived a week before we traded him, and that hurt my soul. But
no.
Yeah, he is a fantastic player, and when he's got the chance to just play safety, he's got a good chance of being one of the top safeties in the league next year.
I agree.
And you can't really argue Tomlin's defenses always do quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, he's picked up Eric Ebron as well.
Yeah.
So if Big Ben can stay healthy, that's just another big target for him to throw to.
Yeah, I agree. He's good in the red zone. Is he, Ebron?
Yeah, it is every time.
Now, the basement dwellers, the Bengals. I think there's too much new stuff going on with them. I think no one really knows whether the coach is actually a good coach. And the rest of their division is insanely good. I don't see how they can
I think that's a big
spot.
I think that's a big factor for the Bengals. The rest of the other 3 teams in that division are just so good compared to the Bengals that in a way it's not fair.
Yeah. I think they've tried the best, to be fair. They spent a lot of money in the off-season. They got, obviously, the quarterback that they needed. But they paid Trey Waynes as well, who they got from, I think it was from the Vikings, his passer rating was so bad last year. And they give him like 42 million. And they're expecting him to be, for 42 million over, I think it was 3 years, is like, that's big money for someone who's just give up over 100 passer rating last season. That is crazy. But I mean, AJ Green was out all last year. He'll be back this year. Their other 2 receivers were good last year. It was
drafted that Higgins as well.
What was that?
drafted that Higgins, the wide receiver.
Higgins.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd like to think they could improve on last year, definitely. Well, the only way is up, really, isn't it? Because of the first round pick, but first overall pick. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit tough. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only way they can do worse is if they win one game.
Yeah.
Let's have them go in 16. Let's do bold predictions. Let's just see how many Bengals fans can hate us. But yeah, I think they will compete a bit better in some games. I don't think Joe Burrow was the best QB prospect in the draft, but he is a good QB. Whether he can work in a system where he doesn't have these amazing wide receivers, this amazing O-line, and this great defense, then only time will tell, I suppose. And I think it'll probably be about year 2 when we start seeing how good Joe Burrow will be, but he might make a push for looking like a good rookie. I mean, Kyler Murray won Rookie of the Year and they were 6-10 or 5-11 or whatever, so could happen.
Yeah, they had to pick him. He had the best tape. He had all the accolades, and in college, he was the best college quarterback last year. Whether or not he'll sort of the potential's there, I don't know. I think it is personally, but he had to pick him. He was the pick, and he was who I think everyone would have picked with the first pick of the draft.
Oh yeah.
I'm optimistic about him, but we'll see.
Well, I'll say what thousands of people have said before. It's a completely different level from college to NFL, so it all depends if you can handle that as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was a situation where if you had the first overall pick, you had to pick him because there isn't another option to pick him other than first. But I don't think he has the highest ceiling out of any of the quarterbacks. But yeah, we'll see how that goes down. Anything to add on the North?
Nope.
No, it's a pretty open and shut division, really, isn't it?
So the next division we'll jump into. Let's jump into the South. We went North. Let's go South. Who do we have winning the South? Let's go. I'll go first. I've got the Titans winning the South, but I've got them tied on record with the Colts, but Titans winning it on sort of a head-to-head basis. Charlie?
I can't. I've not got anything. I can't predict this division. I have a top 2 and I have a bottom 2, but other than that...
guessing is your top 2 the same, or have you...
Texans and Titans, bottom 2, Colts and Jags. I think the placements are all going to depend on what happens this season, because I honestly don't know. I can't predict it.
It's Jack?
I'm going against both of you, and I think that the Colts will win the division.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be 3 teams within a game of each other, definitely. I think the Texans will be far worse than last year, but because they've got Deshaun Watson, they're going to win. He's going to win about 4 or 5 games on his own. I feel like the Colts are just going to do really well. I feel like Rivers had a terrible year last year, no more than anything. But the year before that, he was actually in talks for an MVP, weirdly enough, before we lost to the Patriots. He played so well in 2018. They signed DeForest Buckner in that line. The whole offensive line is as good as any that Rivers has ever played with, probably double. It's probably 10 times as good as any line Rivers has ever played with at the Chargers. They've got a bit of a problem at receiver because T.Y. Hilton can't keep healthy, even though he's brilliant when he's on the field. They've drafted Michael Pittman Jr. In the second round because they didn't have a first round pick, who I think could contribute. They also have was Zach Pascal from last year. I mean, that's probably the weakest part of that team, is the receivers. But Rivers has been playing with terrible receivers his whole career. So I feel like the Titans won't be as good as they were last year. I feel like they'll still be good, but I feel like they sacrificed a bit too much to sign up Tannehill and to sign Derrick Henry this year. So I feel like they could drop off, and I feel like the Colts will get into number one. Unfortunately, I've not mentioned the Jags, but I feel like they'll speak for themselves over the course of the season. I feel like they could be drafting.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone. You've insulted him too much.
Trevor Lawrence next year. I really do.
Yeah, I think I have the Titans winning just on the basis of I think the defense is going to be a strong point for them.
Yeah.
I disagreed with a lot of Tannehill at the Dolphins, so I still don't see him as this revelation and this person who won Comeback Player of the Year. I think deservedly won Comeback Player of the Year for having good games. But he's not going to save a franchise. If you look at the playoff games, he was throwing for 100 yards and a touchdown pass if he was lucky. It's Derrick Henry's team, and if Derrick Henry shows up, then they can win.
Yeah. I think I see him as an Alex Smith kind of quarterback, who is very competent, but I wouldn't say he's like, if I was thinking of good quarterbacks, I wouldn't think of him. Do you know what I mean? I do like Vrabel, and I like the ethos that he puts on the team, and I think they've got a really good togetherness last year, and hopefully he can get that out of them again.
I think a sort of bold statement about the Titans is there is actually 3 quarterbacks in that division that I would pick before I picked Tannehill to come back. If I had to pick someone to start a franchise with, I would have Watson, Rivers, or Minshew before I took Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean, that's you could say. I don't think that's a question. I don't really rate Minshew. I mean, he might. I feel like because it was his rookie year. I mean, I'm waiting for Charlie to chip in here, but
I'm trying to remain quiet.
This is the episode. If you're going to have personal beliefs, I think this is it. Go for it. You're on about your own team.
I'll wait. I'll buy my time. I'll wait.
I liked him. Basically, I liked him. I thought he dealt well with pressure. I feel like he scrambled well, and he made a few sort of highlight reel throws where he was on his arse and he was throwing it, and he's got longer and it's funny. But I don't think from what I saw, he's ready to take the next step. But I'd love to be proven wrong, because I do like the guy. I've seen a few interviews of him, and I think he's a great guy. So I'd love to be wrong. I just don't really see him being all that this year.
Just to be fair, just to let the viewers know, in the past, Jack Lang had longer, and that was funny as well. We'll move on. So I feel, obviously, there's a bit of bias with it being my team, but Jags, we're not in a good spot. If we're being honest, we have just had a good draft. I'm very, very pleased with our draft. We brought in CJ Henderson, who's a banging corner, but needs to work on his tackling above everything else. You put him man to man and he's fine, but you try and get him make tackling in an open field and he can't. We've just pulled Clavion, Chaseon, who is going to be, I think, outstanding. I think he fits in with our defense.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah.
We got a first-round receiver, basically, for free, who should have been a first-round receiver in Chenault.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you actually watch footage of him playing, he is an outstanding talent. But our big problem is, how long will it take before our front office makes those players hate this team?
Yeah.
That's why I'd say we have such a toxic and awful front office that it just doesn't matter what we do.
I think the Jags, I'd like to see Minshew be, because I wish sort of any quarterback, I wish them luck and I hope that they do get this sort of long career out of things. I don't think Minshew's career will be forever in Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville are in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstake sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
and I have branded your season a lucky 3-13 and a hashtag lose for Lawrence.
Nice.
No, as much as I love Minshew, and like you said, he did pull out some absolutely fantastic players in his rookie season. And if he does show up and he does do banging, then fair, But if he doesn't, Trevor Lawrence and his boys, let's go.
Charlie's already got his jersey.
It's on order, China. I've just got to wait 4 years till coronavirus ends.
So I think the Texans are sort of one of the more interesting points of this division because they traded away a few pieces and they showed some quite, I don't know, I'm going to say stupid moves during the off-season. And they just didn't help Deshaun Watson in any way. I don't think the defense isn't going to win them a game. It's probably not going to lose them a game, but it's not one that's going to go out there and steal the show. And then they just decided we'll get rid of his top receiver and we won't sort of help him. I mean, was it Laramie Tunsil from the Dolphins got traded there and he looks good on the O-line. But they just haven't helped a quarterback. I mean, he has proven he doesn't need help and he can win games.
But then again, there's only so much one person can do.
That's the whole thing. It's not like basketball where you only need one star player. It's one of them. You need a lot of great pieces to win a championship on a team.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like, I feel like Bill O'Brien's doing everything he can to get fired. Like, they got rid. You said they got rid of their best receiver. Like last year, he was the best receiver. Yeah. He wasn't. Sorry, the season before last, he was the best receiver. Like, he is unbelievably good, and they got peanuts for him. Vikings got more for Diggs than they got for Hopkins, and he's. I like Diggs, but he's not half as good as Hopkins is on his day. Last year they got rid of DJ Reader as well in the defensive line, who was like the PFF's fourth best graded defensive lineman last year. And they're just not. I can't see where they're going with it. I just cannot see where they're going with it.
There's two lines I'm expecting to hear on repeat from commentary this season with the Texans. The first one is Watson scrambles for the first down, and the second one is Watson to Stills, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, they've got nobody else because I don't think Thing's going to be fit. What's he called? The speedster wide receiver for them. They've got another receiver who's really good, but he's never on the field.
I don't think Stills is this number one receiver. I think he's a number two receiver and he's a solid number two, but he's not going to be a primary receiver.
But when you compare him to who else they've got, there's no one there.
Yeah.
At the minute, he is the number one receiver purely because of the fact they've not got one.
No, they have. What is he called? He's really fast, and he was injured a lot last season. Oh my God, sorry, I can't remember his name. But they drafted him in the first round the same year that Corey Coleman was in the first round. I can't remember his name, but he's the number one receiver, and Stills is supposedly the number two. But you just can't get Hopkins at that. You can't get rid of you cannot get rid of Hopkins for that. So yeah, I've got him in third.
Yeah. Not
What was
touch
his name? That's
too
the
much.
one.
I mean, we did touch on the Colts, didn't we? It's a division that's sort of easy to talk through. I suppose hard to sort of predict where everyone's going to finish because you have got some teams sort of in a flux and then some teams that are really going to contest each other.
Will Fuller was his name, sorry.
That's
who it is.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah,
just,
so I feel
just before we end on the South, I just want to say, Minshew to Chark or to Eifert, touchdown every play, picks every player from Clavion and CJ Henderson, standard stuff. Here we go, boys.
I mean, let's face it, you're going 16-0. Let's not.
Yeah, it just is. And then we'll just get Trevor Lawrence because everyone loves us. So,
yeah, exactly.
Everything works out fine.
Let's go East next. I'm going to assume everyone's going to have the same person winning it because I have the Bills winning it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel like Jack, yours is going to be the most different, judging on Patriots being your surprise team. I'm guessing you have them second.
Yeah. I feel like the Dolphins will do really well. I actually feel like that will be a competitive division next year. I think all three of those teams will be good.
I think second and third place will be the most fought battle between the Pats and the Dolphins.
Yeah. I mean, I have the Patriots at the bottom.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
You can't not put the Jets at the bottom of that division.
No,
they are an absolute dumpster fire.
I actually have the Jets. I have the Jets in second, and I have them 9-7.
Oh, explain that one.
Are you all right, Ben?
I've explained it before.
It got to you, lad. You had a breakdown.
I think Sam Darnold is going to win them more games this year than people are letting on. I mean, I don't see them being world beaters, and I do see them missing out on the playoffs. I only see one team from the East going to the playoffs. But I sort of see the second and third position being sort of an 8-8, 9-7 position where it could be Jets or Dolphins sneaking the second position.
No, I think first defo Bills, fourth defo Jets, and then second and third is going to be a toss-up between Dolphins and Finns.
Yeah,
just who can get it together the most, because Dolphins have just drafted Tua, so it depends if they start him or Fitz. They've just fixed their entire O-line. They've got a new D-line. So it's just a case of making all them pieces fit together.
I think the Dolphins have got a very good head coach, and I feel like he's good. And I feel like he's part of that Belichick coaching tree that is, well, it's about 50-50, to be honest, on whether or not they're good, but I like him. I do. I feel like he worked with a lot of shit last year. And he ended up going top 5 and 4 in the last 9 games after losing them 7. I know you'll talk on that more probably.
But it was all down to them mad trick players, wasn't it? Also,
but that's the Dolphins taking play of the year 2 years in a row. Let's make it 3. At least we've got something to cheer about. Let's talk about the top, because let's talk about the Bills, and then we can get into the teams that are probably a bit more interesting. Because I suppose the Bills are interesting in the sense that they're a good team and they're winning, but not much has changed in the off-season other than adding Diggs.
Yeah,
they've not made any splash moves, and I think that's going to be probably the strongest point, that they're keeping a unit together that knows.
It's exactly the same. They know what works. They know what they need to do to make it work. They've left everything as it was, and they're just going to come out and do the exact same thing again.
Yeah,
I'd just like to see Josh Allen take it to that next level. Really, I think he's currently got a massive arm. he can scramble and he can actually do some design runs, which they do. And I think he's playing well, but I'd like to see him take that next step and become an accurate. Oh shit! Yeah, there we go. Become an accurate. Become an accurate QB on short passes, intermediate, long passes.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he is yet. I'd just like to see that from him this season, if he can do it or not.
I fully agree. If he can fine tune the little things, the Bills are set.
Yeah. I think they're going to have a good few years in this sort of coaching aspect in this system, and it's going to be. It might just be this one off season, and then I think sort of the 2021 season is going to be. This division is going to be extremely competitive when teams are formed properly.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah.
The thing with some like most of the teams in this division, they're not fully there yet.
Yeah.
They've still got a bit of like work to do, and I think once they are all set, like you said, it is going to be a very, very tight division.
Yeah.
Well, it's a future, isn't it? Because I don't think is there any each of the starting QBs for all four teams now are under the age of 26, 25. Josh Allen's not 26. Jarrett Stidham's not 26.
Well,
Tua's not, and neither's Sam Darnold. So they've all got another 5-10 years worth of starting experience. You'd like to hope, depending. We'll see with New England, and the Dolphins.
I did see a fact that Ryan Fitzpatrick is the only member of the Dolphins team over the age of 30.
Wow, yeah.
So we've built a very
over the age of 30.
Over the age of 30.
Oh my god!
There you get. There's a lot complaining about back problems and knee pain, and
that is interesting.
Yeah. Go on. I'll have a bit of a Homer sort of conversation.
Yeah.
I very much like the way we're going. I agree. I think Brian Flores probably. I think he should have got a bit of an honourable mention for the job that he did last year with practice team guys and absolute nobodies. And he managed to go in and beat the Patriots when they're contending for a bye week in the last week. And we went 5-4 in our last 9 games, and we actually did better than the Patriots in the last 10 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think this overhaul is actually working. New defense, so linebacking core looks strong. Shaq Lawson on the D line now. Xavier Howard and Byron Jones at cornerbacks. I've said a few weeks ago that our defense will be the strong point of our team going forward, and then you've got Tua, who has all the potential in the world to, if he can stay healthy, be this, I'd say, Pro Bowl level quarterback.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but I do see it taking sort of an extra year to gel properly, and I see us going 9-7, 8-8, sort of that range.
Yeah, I love the Byron Jones. I know you paid him. I think it was the most money for any cornerback in total money, but I think he's going to be worth it. I think the ball never comes over to his side. He doesn't get many takeaways, but he's really good. I really like Byron Jones, and I think that was a really good pickup. I think Tua's got gonna go right to the very top. It's just this season, like when Charlie was saying before about everyone being together for that year 3. I think this is year 2, and it's going to be the rookie quarterback's first year, and I think there's going to be a lot of pieces where you're not sure who's going to grab it by the scruff of the neck, kind of a thing. And I think next year could be the one for the Dolphins, but I do think they'll be competitive.
Yeah, I think we'll.
My favourite thing you did was fixing your O-line.
Yeah,
I think that was the top. Really that was the top necessity you had, and you just sorted it straight away. Didn't mess about.
Yeah,
fix the problem.
We hope.
Well, that's sort of why I do think Fitz will start the season for us. Because I think Fitz is, as you could see whenever he ran the ball last year, he isn't afraid of taking a hit. He sort of looked for contact, like he wanted his career to end. But
yes, can't throw any more picks there.
Well, yeah, so it just sort of goes to, I think Fitz will stand behind the O-line whilst the all gel and we have new guys coming in. And then I think sort of halfway through the year, maybe a bit later, if the O-line looks strong, then Tua will probably get a game or a couple of games in there.
I don't think Fitzpatrick will stay healthy for 16 games, and I don't think he will also. Fitzpatrick has a game, at least one or two every season, where he looks like so bad you wouldn't believe. So all it takes is two bad games together, and then the fans are screaming to get him on. The coaches, I trust Brian Flores won't be stupid, but I feel like we'll see two this season definitely.
I do agree with you though, Ben. Give it a few games, let that new O-line get nice and set. Make sure everyone knows what they're doing. Make sure they all vibe with each other and everything, and then bring to him. But I think while they're in that meshing period, do start Fitz, even if it's only like 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, because I think the hardest thing is going to be to learn. So with Tua being a left-handed quarterback, you've got to think that it's now the right side of your line is now your blind side blockers, and it sort of changes. So you want to sort of build them in that way, where because you don't want them gelling as Tua steps on and then he gets hit, and if it's a bad enough hit that his hip goes again, and that if his hip goes again, then that could be career over.
Yeah. As
long as we protect Tua, then I'm happy with whatever sort of outcome happens.
It's not a small injury, is it? No. It is quite an injury, so if it does go again, he is completely done.
Yeah. I think this is now sort of a division that we've picked the bones dry on. We've gone through every team over the course of this. So we'll move on to the West, being our last division to sort of go through. And can you really say that the Chiefs aren't going to win it?
No, not at all. Not for me.
No.
Fortunately not, no.
So, again, let's just talk about the Chiefs in the sense of nothing's changed. They're still the same team that won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Made the AFC Championship 2 years in a row. And Patrick Mahomes is just as insane as ever.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs will probably need touching on too much because they've not changed a lot.
Yeah.
They did draft the young Edwards running back in the first, who a lot of people are quite high on. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'd like to see, because he's got a funny old frame. He's like a bowling ball kind of a player. He'll do a lot of catching out of the backfield more than running, I think, in my opinion. Pairing with Damian Williams, I'm not sure, but I'd like to know your two thoughts on him, because I'm not sure really. I'm a bit on the fence about him. He's made that much of an impact this season.
I've mentioned before, if you give a running back to the Chiefs, he's a fifth wide receiver rather than a running back. Yeah, Charlie.
Exact same team as it was last year, innit?
Yeah.
Nothing needed fixing, nothing needed doing. Kept everyone. Probably play exact same team. They know what works, they know what don't. Just Chiefs. That's all you can say.
Yeah, that's it. They're just the Chiefs at this point. I think the interesting things will start happening in a few years' time when you have to start paying Patrick Mahomes real money and the cap space starts to dwindle down. We'll see what starts happening in Kansas and whether they are the next big dynasty.
Yep.
Who've we all got in second on that?
Denver.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to go home?
No. Honestly, it's been going round in my head over and over because obviously every year the Chargers can finish 2-12, or they can finish 12-2, and no one has any idea which way they're going to go. I think the Broncos will be in second position, but I think all three of those teams will be within a game or two of each other. I think there won't be a bad team in the division. I don't think you'll see anyone get 5 wins. I think there's going to be, I think all 4 teams will get at least 7 wins. But I've got Denver coming second.
Yeah,
the Chargers third and the Raiders fourth. I have.
Same. Again, another team it was just another team that we talked about lots earlier. So to just brush over the points, we just narrowed it down to the fact that it's Drew Lock. If Drew Lock shows up, then that's a good season for him. I've got Chargers third. Guessing we all do.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they have one of the best rosters in the league. Tyrod Taylor is going to be probably a good mentor to Justin Herbert for a year, or whether you do go all in and put Herbert out there this year.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen.
I think it does boil down, Jack said, though, it's which charge, it depends what day it is, if they decide to play a game.
I think we've had a really good off-season. We've signed Linval Joseph at DT, who I thought will shore us up and stop the run because we've not been able to do that for years. Brian Balaga on right will be signed at right tackle, who's been brilliant for the Packers. We signed Chris Harris from Denver, who's getting on a bit.
Oh yeah,
and he's past his prime, but he's still a really good slot corner. I think Tyrod Taylor will be serviceable, but we'll be changing our whole offense because we've gone from having the least mobile quarterback in the league to having a quarterback who will actually, the way the league's going with the way that Baltimore and Greg Roman have run that offense, we'll be trying to do something similar with a 30-year-old Tyrod Taylor, which I think will work games. But he's not quite got the arm to get us. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams will try the best, but I don't think he's going to quite push us over 9 wins at the most. I'm looking forward to what Herbert does in year 2 and 3 because every year that he was in college, he improved. There wasn't a year where he didn't get better. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. But for this year, I think 9 and 7 will be the most we'll do, to be honest. Hopefully not, but we'll see.
I think it is just any given Sunday, and we could see the Chargers from 2018, or we could see the Chargers from 2019 again.
Yeah, and that was the same team. If you think about it, the only thing we were missing was maybe Derwin James missed all last year. We had just as much terrible offensive linemen as we did the year before, but we'd lost games by 2 points, 3 points, whereas 2018 we were winning games by 2-3 points, and that's the difference really. You never know what you're going to get.
So I'm guessing that'll mean we all have Raiders bottom as sort of the de facto 4th place.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they're sort of in the same situation as the Bengals. Obviously, they're a lot better than the Bengals, but the other teams in their division are going to be better than them, and that will cost them in standings.
Yeah. The other teams in the West are just leaps and bounds above the Raiders.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Raiders. I don't like Henry Ruggs. I don't think he's going to be much this season. I think he's just fast. That's a bit of a bold take, but I don't think he's anywhere as good as CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. I think he's not going to be all that for the Raiders. They did make a good few signings, though. They got Corey Littleton from the Rams, who were good. They got another linebacker, Kwiatkowski, who's quite good. And they've got some good pieces. I like the running back. Derek Carr's not going to be all that. He can't throw Ruggs is all about speed, but you've got Derek Carr who can only throw 15 yards or less. So, yeah, I think they might go 6-10, maybe 7 and 9. I'll say 7 and 9, but they're not. You're right. They're not in the same league. I would think as the other 3 teams in the division.
Yeah, because I think if they sort of lose both games to the Chiefs, and they might probably lose both games to the Broncos and split them with the Chargers, they'll just end up 4th in the division by the fact that they're just not as good as the rest of the division. Right. I think that's the divisions wrapped up, and I'll do it sort of same way I did last week. We'll just quick fire all 3 of us. Who's going to the Super Bowl from the AFC, Jack?
It is the Baltimore Ravens.
Charlie?
The Chiefs.
I've got the Ravens as well. I think just because they have to sort of go that way, or start. I don't know. Or something has to be changed because they're this team that should have been in the Super Bowl when you think about it, and they've not been.
Yeah, definitely. They should have won. Their playoff game last year. Yeah. They were awful against us for year 1, but that was with the QB having only in his rookie season. But I think, like we keep going on about year 3, this is the one.
Yeah.
This is the one.
Let's go. Yeah. No, I think, it's either going to be them or the Chiefs. I have them as the championship game.
I'd love to see that AFC Championship game if it's those 2. That'd be a great game.
I don't think there's a chance that the championship game is anything other than Chiefs Ravens.
I think where it's played will be the difference.
Yeah.
Whoever gets first round gets that first round bye, because there's obviously only one this year, and gets the home field advantage for the championship. They'll win it. But that seems to be the AFC all wrapped up. So thanks, Jack. Thanks, Charlie. So I'll say bye for this week. See you later.
Bye.